Son, As always, the day is Friday, the holy day for Muslims all over the world. On this Friday, we bow down in humble and submissive obedience to give all perfect praise to the one God, the true God, the author, the creator, the governor of all the worlds. Here in the Noble Drew Foundation, we also give honors to all whose honor is due. We give honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, known as Yusuf Sharif Abdul Ali. We also give honors to Brother COOLEY-EL, the true successor of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam. We give honors to everyone whose honor is due, because we know to withhold honor is both mean and unjust. So on this Friday, I like to say Islamism is our lawism, our lifeism, and that's the way we live. I like to give honors to each and every one who is doing anything in the uplifting of fallen humanity. Islam, without further ado, we'll have a sighting of the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Islam. Good evening, my Moorish kin, wayfarers, seekers after the truth, all of those who are trying to find a way to find peace. But we know peace is contentment, and when we find peace, we find it within. So without further ado, I have a reading from the laws of the Holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Salvation, our God, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America. The Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No members to put in danger or accuse false his brother or sister on any occasion, and all that may harm his brother and sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they're not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds filled with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Thus, we've had a reading of the 7 Constitution of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Continuing in the law, because we know law is the way to govern. Starting on page 7 of the Quran Questions for Moorish Americans, we'll be reading from page 7. And these are the additional laws, the questionnaire and the additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Additional Act 1, Grand Sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali before acting upon by any members. Let it be finance, property, or any line of life that would cause any member to sacrifice, finance, etc. That would cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restriction, etc. by the Grand Sheikh, by the Prophet, or the Grand Sheikh. Additional Act 2. All members must attend their adapt meetings and public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on his meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he's able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Additional Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he's an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And as I have the power invested in my hand, I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Additional Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak ragged against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Additional Act 5. All members must properly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who's able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Additional Act. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they're not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopian, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in the nation, by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali to tame his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited northwest and southwestern shores of Africa. Additional Act 7. All must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faith. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds filled with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from the holy prophet Noble Drew Ali through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Islam, thus we've had a reading of the laws, the 7 constitutional laws, and the 7 additional laws. In civics, that would mean the 7 additional amendments to the Constitution of the Moorish nation. Islam, continuing, we'll have a reading from the great law found in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Some call it the Circle 7. It was divinely prepared by our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, to redeem us from our sinful ways. And by the guidance of his Father, God, Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem men from their sinful and fallen stages of humanity back to the highest life with their Father, God. So that's what this Holy Quran is all about. Uplifting fallen humanity with divine instructions. Continuing, we'll have a reading from the chapter of today, which is chapter 30, page 39, Holy Instructions from the Prophets. I love social duties. Why? Because social duties means we have to get out and act out along with the public. When I say act up and act out, I mean that we must mingle, get in touch with the people, let them know the truth. See, when you're acting out of your higher self, you're acting out of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And there's no greater way than to show up and act out. Yes, this is a great day for the Europeans. This is the first Friday of the New Year. Praise Allah. But for us, we know that January 8th and January is the days that we celebrate. But we give honor to all things. Because as being monotheistics, because we deal with the religion that's monotheistic, Islamism, that are taking man within, that he may reach his higher self. Islam, chapter 30, page 39. Holy instruction from the prophet, social duties, the social duties. Verse 1. Thou consider thy wants, when thou beholdest thy imperfections. Acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, with humanity. Endow thee with speech, and place thee in the society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations, protections from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life, all these thou owest to the assistance of others. And couldst thou not enjoy but in the bands of society? It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. As the rose breathes sweetness from his own nature, so the heart of a benevolent man produces good works. He enjoys the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoices in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. He opened not his ears unto slander. The faults and the failings of men give a pain to his heart. His desire is to do good, and he researcheth out the occasions thereof. In removing the oppression of another, he relieveth himself. From the largeness of his mind, he comprehendeth in his wishes the happiness of all men. And from the generosity of his heart, he endeavored to promote it. 7 verses of social duties. 7 easily attainable verses to man being social to one another. You know, our prophet teach us when our brothers in adversity, assist them. When that sister's in trouble, forsake her not. So when we're reaching out, especially in these trying times, dear Moors, because we're truly in trying times with this pandemic roaring on, they're found two different strains. So in social duties, we have to mask up, glove down, and try to aid and assist those in our community who are not able to do for themselves. For that's the largeness of their heart. See, we can't talk about it. We got to be about it. That's why the prophet say he came and brought the old time religion. But he put a fix on it. He said, I put ism on it. Because for a long the spirit in Islamism is the working of the ism. Making it action. Your life. Through your words, acts, and deeds. Standing upright, independent, and fearless. Care for your loved ones. You have the signs of civicness. The prophet teaches us our social duties. But a lot of times we don't do it. We get in little feasts and we think that that's all to this movement. This is a great and gigantic movement geared toward the uplifting of the sons and daughters of the ancient Moabite, the modern day Moroccan, the Moorish here in America. Proclaiming your ancient decent, national decent name. You shouldn't have to go to nobody's court and ask that you be able to carry, ill, or obey. But if you put on a fez and wear a turban and you're doing the work, not just looking the part, doing the work, wherever it may to be done. It's time now, Omos, to open up our hearts, to spread our wings, and begin the great work of teaching these holy and divine instructions of our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, who you say that you love. We have to overcome those disunity words. I don't like. I wish. You don't have to sit in the Noble Drew Ali Foundation. As Moorish Americans, we are kin. And through the unity that our holy prophet teaches in chapter 25, we should be able to come together and fit a program that we can begin to become a part and a portion of this divine government. By law. It's time now to stand up. It's time now to do what the prophets say. Look at your imperfections. Acknowledge his goodness, O Son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, who endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal and mutual obligation. In the sense of what you put out, you surely get back from the heavens. We don't give to say, look at what I did. We give out the largeness of our heart, understanding that our first duty is to practice love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And a man who overcomes the lower self and becomes himself his higher self, there should be no way that he shouldn't be in unit with all those who think and act as he does. Because as ills, bays, and Ali's, we're family. I'm not asking to run your temper, nor is anyone else. All I'm asking is that we learn unity. We learn to love instead of hate. We talking, but we can't seem to do what's on our divine constitution, stretch out our hand to our brother man and become unity. That is the miracle, but the European knows you ain't gonna do it. He knows that we can't work together. Why? Because everybody wants to be the boss. Allah picks who is the angel to lead this divine move. Because man falls, Allah never fails. Allah lives on in the heart of those true and faithful. That's why in the Moorish literature, he said we must teach these lessons so that we can be socially, economically, politically, educationally, socially, as well as religiously endowed. See, a citizen recognizes what a citizen is. What is a citizen? A citizen is a man who knows his nationality and knows his divine creed. They still carrying us under the civil rights doctrine as 3/5 of a man. On our nationality card, it says you are a citizen of these United States. And why are we citizens? Because the prophet incorporated his great and holy and divine movement into this American government. That's why we're citizens. But we can't be citizens in times of trouble and Negro and black and colored when no one's looking. We got to be Moors when the sun's up, when the sun goes down, by day and by night. See, social duties means to mingle. Listen to what the prophets say. Who honor thee with humanity, endow thee with speech, and place thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligation, protection from injuries, enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All of these thou owest to the assistance of others. To the assistance of others, not the exclusion, because we think that this is mine. This movement belongs to Allah and Allah alone. The prophet left his movement in the hands of the true and divine angels on the back of the questionnaire. But man tore the movement apart by creating sect. Yes, temple should be on every corner, but we should have one grand body that's true and faithful to all the Moors. Creating a program by which we can truly uplift the Moorish nation and reach out and let the brothers and sisters who are on the wrong path to salvation come back on the right path. Give up the cross and come to the circle of the seven of the Ilis, of the Alis, of the Elohims, the seven creative spirits that created everything that ever was, is, and ever to be. So don't tell me that Allah ain't merciful. Don't tell me that Allah ain't loving. But we men have to understand that in our social duties, we have to be strong and forgiving. We have to learn how to get together. You know, we say we got a grand body, but is our grand body social? No. There shouldn't be 2 or 3 grand bodies. There should be one grand body with a multitude of temples. But we still practicing those principles of Negroism, Blackism, Colorism, Negroism. Moors, we have to raise up from those marks that were put upon you in 1774, that was supposed to be let off in 1865. But here we into the 21st century, the first day of the new year, we're still being looked at as Negroes, colored folks, black people, and Ethiopians. And the reason why I say Ethiopians is because the Moors are still dividing themselves. I don't want to be with that. I don't want to be with this Moor. We're by blood. Everybody ain't going to see eye to eye on things. That's what government and nations do. You see? But we have to learn to do this thing with peace. And the Noble Drew Ali Foundation, our mission is to aid and assist society and to do our work and reach out to our brothers wherever they may be. Because I'm a Moor that believes, a Moor that's true and faithful and doing as the prophets say, that's my brother, that's my sister. They don't have to be in the Noble Drew Ali Foundation. We should be able to go throughout this nation and set the temple of love of the Moors. I think what we need to do is, as the prophet said in the Moorish literature, a lot of Moors need to go back into the library and go into the great books and learn the true history of their national and ancient forefathers. See, our forefathers didn't act like this. From tribe to nation, they didn't act like this. My brothers and my sisters, it hurts my heart. Because I know the enjoyments of the comfort and the pleasures of life, all these thou owest to others. Couldst thou not enjoy but in the bands of society? And listen to what the prophet is instructing us. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. Is there any other simple way to put it? Not COOLEY-ELism, Drew Ali-ism, Islamism. Listen, it is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. If we are out in the bands of society, then ones would know what our job is, what we're doing. I'm known by a lot of Moors because me understanding that they're not Negroes, colored folks. I don't care what temple they go to. My job is to let them know that they're not Negroes, colored folks, black people. My job is to tell them that Christianity is not their way. If they proclaim their nationality and their divine creed, then they become a whole man. But when you say that you don't believe in God, then you know that something is missing. God is the creator. Without him, no man. See, we have to stop worshiping man and worship of God. See, because what man give them, man take them away. Look at us today. We're in a pandemic. We have to wear masks. We have to stay in because it's a killing pandemic. And true and faithful Moors are trying by all means to get this holy and divine message, this everlasting gospel, out to all the sons and daughters of the human family, Asiatic and Muslims. This ain't just for the Moorish Americans. We're trying to sound the trumpet of the red flag with the green star in the center. The green star with 5 points representing love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. the greatest principles known to man. Being social. Okay, let's get back. He says in verse 2, 3, as the rose breathes sweetness from his own nature, the heart of a benevolent man produces good works. Same as the rose breathes sweetness from his own nature. The benevolence of a good man, his nature shows to learn and love instead of hate. He gives of himself without asking questions because he knows when he proclaimed his nationality, the prophet said, if you think your conditions can be better, join the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then he said, there's work enough for all to do in this great, gigantic movement toward the uplifting of fallen humanity. See, when we begin to uplift ourselves, we begin to uplift everything in our circumference, everything around. He said, what is love? Love is contentment. And what is contentment is happiness. And where do we find that happiness? Within. There's no heaven and hell for man. It's not below. It's not around. It's within. See, man have to go within to find his heaven because man makes his own heaven as well as his own hell. Just think, you make your hell and you living in hell. This pandemic is hell. And I believe that this is happening because Allah is not pleased. Allah is not pleased. There's Moors out here demonstrating that the prophet said it would be 50 years. And he have come and gone, and we still wouldn't understand the message that he brought. He said, this message ain't for the faint of heart. This message is for those who want to make change. This message is not to be held within the walls, clapping and singing amongst yours. This message is to raise the consciousness of the brothers and the sisters that come into your temple. You grand sheiks, you governors, do you understand your position and the power of your position now? You're a governor, then govern your city of Moors. If you're a grand sheik, then teach your Moors that everywhere they go, they're supposed to propagate and extend the learnings and the teachings of Ali in America, especially to their brothers and their sisters who are not conscious, who are struggling to find their way. Yeah, there are some out there who love to be called black. There's some who believe they're colored. There's some who love to be Negro. And there's those who love to amalgamate and marry to the pale-skinned nations of Europe. But that don't stop us from teaching the truth because the prophet going nowhere. And within all of these temples, there's the spirit of Jesus. It's for all those who love Jesus. And if you love Jesus, you truly love Drew Ali because he's the reincarnation of Jesus in the spirit because all prophets come from Allah. And all prophets are one. You see? And person praying Allah, I'd like to give a special honor to the forerunner of the prophet, Brother Marcus Garvey, a great man, a man who taught us how to raise up and become not only socially endowed, but economically endowed. But we couldn't understand that. Now we're in these trying times and we still don't understand it. We're still gens talking about Moors here, talking about Moors there. We got to get out of that because you can't stand up there and say that you're learning to love and behind the backbite. We got to stop that. Because that's what tears not only a temple down, it'll stop the nation from unifying. You see, it'll stop the nation from unifying. We should give every man and woman and child their proper due, because it's our duty, according to the holy prophet in his lessons. He said, husband and wife, you must send your children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire. Let every member exercise their five senses who's able to do so. Why? Because he said, out from your comes the guidance of the nation. So if they are coming out of your Sunday schools, the guidance of the nation, are they coming out with schisms and risms, hism and disms? Or are they coming out with Islamism and the holy instructions of the prophet to get in there and become social and extend? Because what did he give you the hand for? Is it not a miracle? And what makes it a miracle? When you stretch it out to the sisters of your brother and your sister, or any human. See, we know that they should arrive. Don't help them. Don't help them. You know, it's time now for all true Moors to stand up and proclaim the truth. But everybody's caught up on the dollar. Everybody's caught up on the dollar. But let's go on. He enjoyed the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoiced in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. That means when you're doing the right thing, you don't get mad at your neighbor because his house may be bigger than yours, or that his family may be happy. You can make yours. If you know who you are and you learn to love yourself with your tranquility, your neighbor, you don't look on him with disease, discomfort. As the rose. See, as the rose, that's what we do. The opening, he opened not his ear unto slander. The faults and failings of men give a pain to his heart. Wow, ain't that powerful? If we learn to love instead of hate, you could not bring more Samaritan on anyone. Your duty is, if you see one falling into his lower self, being a good more, a loving more, a caring more, you will reach out your hand and help that brother to understand how to make these divine instructions fit his life. And when he understands, he will become better. Go behind his back and snicker and laugh and talk about him, like that old stuff about putting people on the back row, taking their fares. That's not good. That's not good. When man or woman fall, we should be trying to find out what is the situation, because there could not be no, because problems can be solved. What is the situation? Don't right away talk about you're suspended, this, you're that. Everybody, even those who think they're hiding, they're not hiding, because Allah sees all. Allah sees all. We got to get it together, dear Moors. We truly got to get it together. we got to be able to reach across the waters and bind that circle and make it strong in that love for one another. Social duties. We give not to say, oh, look at the Noble Drew. No, the Noble Drew Ali Foundation, we give because it's our duty if we are able. It's our duty. In this time of pandemic, we the more should be calling here, there, and everywhere. What are we going to do, my brothers? What shall we do? What can we do together? You know, your temple is your temple, but when it comes to the grand body, there's one and one prophet. And when we start following the laws, we'll find that out. But the prophet said there should be temples everywhere. But if you have no guidance, the body has become diseased because the head is not straight. We have to stop disillusioning our brothers and sisters, trying to get them to become mockingbirds in order to do the work of the prophet. Or if you see one is able to raise the thoughts and minds of men, you deny them. You don't make a daps, Allah make a daps. You can give a man a title, but can that man live that title? Do he understand that title? I'm going to have to give that lesson on muftis because they got a wrong perception of what a mufti is. A mufti is one who knows the Islamic laws. He don't even need his book to be able to see one off the path. When you say, brother man, that ain't the way to go, he might not like it, but you give it because that's your duty. That's your duty. If he identifies as an ill or bay, then he identifies your brother or your sister, then you're supposed to give him your right hand. Because the prophet said, that hand, is it not a miracle? What was it given to you, given to thee for? But not to stretch out to the aid and assistance of thy brother and thy sister. More, understand. Time is drawing in now. We got to stop playing with this. As Brother Takabe say, we might have to get rid of the head because the body is bad. The grand body is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when the justice comes, carry your empty. Old Dimler keys. They know. Justice is surely gonna come. You can't keep breaking the law and don't expect justice to catch you. You can't be discouraging people not to come to the prophet. And when they come to the prophet, you got them in some kind of circle that they can't feel wanted and loved. The temple must learn to love instead of hate. You don't bring people into your home and mistreat them. You bring guests into your home, you teach them, and shouldn't be no gossip in the temple. He opened not his ear unto slander. The false and failing of men give a pain to his heart. His desire is to do good, And he researches about all of the occasions thereof, and removing the oppression of another, he relieveth himself. That's how I feel. When I'm studying and doing what I do, I love it. Praise Allah, I got a chairman, he loves it, the members of the Noble Drew Ali Foundation. We do what the prophets say. We ain't worried about the slander of man. Oh, he's a renegade, he's this, he's that. I am Moorish. From head to toe, everybody know. That's why I am the Grand Sheik and a divine minister here in the Noble Drew Ali Foundation. Because my duty is to carry the everlasting gospels here, there, and everywhere. Because if I can't be a part of the upliftment, I sure don't want to be a part of the fall. I made my choice when I resurrected my life. I say I would never be a part of the situation, of the obstacle, of the problems in the community. When I became part of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings and instructions, I changed the way I think and the way I live. And I praise Allah for giving me a good and healthy understanding of these divine lessons. And I give honors to all the brothers who have aided in my growth of understanding the Holy Prophet and his instructions. Because they were men, they were good morals. They were good morals. Some couldn't stay on the right track, but they had the understanding, but they chose the lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires. And I tried to tell them it's only a reflection of the higher self. It's distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. And what is that? It's distorted by the way you think without using reason. If it ain't drugs, money, or women, some people just ain't there. But if you resurrect your life, you will see the omnipotence displayed before you. It ain't about talk, it's about the walk. So I like to say, I hope I said something to uplift, to cause you to think and ponder, to endeavor on walking into a temple somewhere and see the love and caring of the great prophet Drew Ali here in America. And I like to say this too. Sometimes don't get angry at the messenger. Listen to the message. Because if he's saying anything that's in the love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, absorb it. Make it a part of your heart and mind. If you don't like the atmosphere, try another one. Try another one. Because there's a multitude of more science temples and brothers and sisters in action here in America. But I pray to the day that we become one foundation, one temple, one prophet. The Moorish Science Temple of America and the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. But until then, we must do what we have to do to bring the truth to the multitude. And what are we trying to teach them? Nationality and divine creed, the order of the day. If you could read, they have not took that 3/5 off the record. what makes us here under the banner of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Noble Drew, another movement that's teaching how to become upright, independent, and fearless, who understands that the two can work together. The red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center, and the red, white, and blue. We can work together because the prophet showed us how to do that. But first, we must raise our thoughts to infinite wisdom, and we must get into Sunday school and let the teacher confirm himself to the questionnaire and teach you how to become a Moorish American Muslim. Yes, my brothers and sisters, you have to find your place. Because if you look around, we in 21 in time, we coming in on a deluge. We got a pandemic going on, a killer. And he just released a son and a daughter. So protect yourself, dear Moors. Wayfarers, friends, seekers after the truth. Keep your masks on. Keep your distance. You don't have to sit in the temple. We're going to find a way to come to you. Look around, the Moors we'll be coming. The prophet was telling us about this electrifying age, and we have begun to use it. Praise be to Allah. Because the everlasting gospel can be sent to you until we are able to come back and touch and live within each other's arms. This is a new day. And you see that no one, they got out here Black Lives Matter. We the Moors always never doubted that we matter. We are the beginner. We are the first. We are the Alpha. We are the Omega. And what it says. The first will be last and the last will be first. When we stand together in unity and love, we're going to rise up and sit, practice it with those 5 high principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I'm one who says that there should be Moors in Congress, there should be more Moors in the government. You are a citizen. And by that thing they call the great and divine instruction, that Constitution says that you have the right to live without molestation. You have the right to practice your nationality and your divine creed without molestation. And any man that don't stand up and proclaim his nationality, he put himself in a position, she put herself in a position to be misused and abused by the ones who keep them under mental slavery. Brothers and sisters, remember Brother George Jackson. Remember the Panthers. Their ideas were the beginning. Then our holy prophet came on the scene. He was here in 1913, but he was preparing the way. And some of us got him in certain places, but we got him. All you have to do is find a place and go sit and listen. You will know this is right. There's no country known as Negro land, colored land, black land, etc. And we here in America can't say, oh, My nigga is an endearment. That's not an endearment. That's disrespect. Because there's no such thing as Negro. There's no such thing as black people. There's no thing as colored folks. But when you do those things, you practice Ethiopianism. And what is Ethiopianism? Dividing of the family as well as the land. Read your blessings, Moors. We have to make this thing applicable. We have to make this thing relevant to our present times. We got to get up there in them halls and start letting them see that the Moors, there's a light, and we're strong, we're still here because our time is coming. We don't know what angel is going to bring that unity, but it's coming. Because I know here in the Noble Drew Ali Foundation in Sunday School, we teach unity. We teach uprightness. We teach them to learn to love instead of hate. No matter what temple you're in, that's your brother, that's your sister. When you come here, we treat you with love. We don't sit you somewhere and say, because you're not of. If your temple don't feel of love, people say that they don't feel it, then there's something wrong in that holy place. I hope that by the great will of the great God and by the teachings of his holy and divine prophet, the reincarnation of Jesus in these times, who is known as Abdul Sharif Ali, aka Noble Drew Ali, the creator of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the organizer of the Moorish Science Temple of America 1928, is on the back of your questionnaire. That's the law. That's the divine law. Anything other than this is man-made and serves no purpose. Follow the prophet, not man. And if he's not speaking the words of the prophet, run. Because he's a schemer and a sham. Prevail. Run from him. Run from him. His tongue is silk. His thoughts are gravy. But you are the feast. If he's not teaching these high divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and teaching you your nationality, run from him. Because he's a purveyor. He's a schemer. Walking in the realms of the divine. Trying to all dear souls that are weak. My brothers and sisters, when you walk into a temple and you want to be a part and parcel, and you ask for your nationality, you should not be denied. It is our duty to spread this everlasting gospel here and everywhere. This is not for us to get a dollar. The money is for the nation. And until we learn that, we still gonna be fragmented tribes. Because some are afraid to stand up, and become true Moors, them colonies. We walk downtown, we see Chinatown. Where's the Moorish town? But that's another story for another time. I just wanted to get on and let the Moors know that love is still in the air, regardless of the pandemic. I'm always trying to find a way to spread this everlasting gospel because I know it's a saving power And how do I know it's a saving power? Because it truly saved an old rut like me. It saved me. But yet it took me a while to understand how to work the combination to salvation. But once I left the steps of belief and got on the prong of faith and began to work, I found out that I'm worth saving. So with that I say, may Allah bless all of those who may hear me today, who are sowing me today. I ask you to give me your thanks, and I give you mine. And why I ask for your thanks? Because if you give me your thanks, you tell me I'm on the right path. And that's why I render you my love. Because only through you can I tell if I'm doing the right and speaking the right language. And the language I'm trying to speak is the language of love and unity. I don't care nothing about all that other stuff. My mission is to unify the grand body into one body, and we can all learn to love instead of hate and do the work of the great and divine prophet through our need. And with that I say, Islam and peace. I have a reading of the proclamation. Prophet wants all Muslim governors ordered to read the proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while they work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cars at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feeling toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card button, cease wearing their turban affairs, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. Hear what it said. Return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. And he said, this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. Therefore, the prophet is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. Protecting their prophet and the temple. We're talking about the prophet's movement. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sins by order of the prophet Noble Drew Ali. Thus, we've had a reading from the Divine Warning. And once again, I thank you, my brothers and my sisters. With that, I say, Alhamdulillah, be to Allah, may you be well and safe. Mask up and distance out. May Allah bless you. And now we'll have the Moorish American prayer. Universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, through Ali, Islam.